Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call to order the Lamar Consolidated Independent School District regular board meeting this January the 16th, 2020. We have a quorum with only Ms. Kaminsky not present. We will open the meeting with our traditional moment of silence for you to observe as you feel appropriate. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dr. Randall, any recognitions this evening?
Yes, ma'am, Madam President. If you couldn't tell from all of the decorations, January is School Board Recognition Month, and it's my pleasure to be up here with these board members. They represent 7 of the more than 7,000 school board members across the state of Texas. They're also the ones who do the necessary and important work for our schools, oftentimes with little fanfare or recognition. Well, tonight I'd like to publicly recognize the valued efforts of Kay Danziger, Catherine Kaminsky, Mandy Brunsell, Joe Hubenek, Alex Hunt, John Welch, and Joy Williams. We're making a special effort this month to show our appreciation to the board, but we need to remember that its commitment is year-round. These trustees continue to give of themselves and their time. They also aren't afraid to take a stand, ask the tough questions, or make the right decisions, even if those choices at times are unpopular. I personally applaud their service to our community, and I know you do too. Please join me in thanking our school board members for launching the next generation in Lamar CISD. We also have a quick video that we'd like to share.
Oh, dear.
Coming up on a go for all the sequence start.
SRS, so you have a range clear launch. And entire crew is go.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3.
January is School Board Recognition Month.
0, and lift off.
As we embark upon a new decade, we want to thank our Board of Trustees for helping Lamar CISD soar into the future. Thank you, Kay Danziger.
Thank you, Catherine Kaminsky.
Thank you, Mandy Bonzo. Thank you, Joe Hubenak.
Thank you, Alex Hunt.
Thank you, John Welch.
Thank you, Joy Williams.
Thank you for your tireless support.
Thank you for focusing on student success.
Thank you for launching the next generation.
Again, we want to say thank you to the board.
Thank you, Dr. Randall. You know, I can probably speak for all of us. We do it with pleasure because we care about our students and this district. So we appreciate the little bit of kudos, but we would do it with or without. So thank you again. All right. So any introductions tonight?
Yes, ma'am. We have one introduction this evening.
Oh, good.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Tonight, I would like to introduce you to our new Director of College and Career Readiness, Lindsay Troutman. Lindsay is a May 2008 graduate of Columbia College with a bachelor's degree in social studies. In 2016, she earned her master's in teaching from Columbia. I'm going to start over. In 2016, she received a master's degree in teaching from Columbia College. She received a second master's degree in instructional leadership and administration. Ms. Troutman has 9 years of education experience, including 7 years of teaching and 2 years as a curriculum coordinator. And Lindsay started with us in January. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Audience to patrons? There are none. Okay. Well, then we're going to move forward with the approval of the minutes. We first have the December 17th, 2019 special meeting workshop. Do I have a motion to accept those minutes? I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second. All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. We also have our December 19th, 2019 regular board meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes? Okay, right there. Do I have a second? Oh,
I'll second.
second. Okay. So, okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We'll move forward. All right. Next, we have board members' reports. I know we've had some committee meetings. Who would like to start? I guess
I'll start.
You'll start.
The board facilities committee meeting met on January 14th. I'll provide an update about what we discussed. The new maintenance and operations facility is waiting to close out, along with the service center. The final certificate of occupancy for the service center is expected to be received in February. Tameron Elementary School, the construction is underway. It's scheduled to be completed in July of 2020. Multi-campus improvements, final payment is on this month's board agenda. Foster High School athletic improvements, the final payment is scheduled for next board meeting in February. The Alternative Learning Center addition and renovations and the Jane Long Historical Gym renovations, the construction documents are being developed. Construction on the ALC is expected to begin in June of 2020. Transportation fuel tank replacement, construction documents are being developed. Construction is to begin in May of 2020. Terry High School and George Junior High School additions and renovations, design development is in process. Lamar Consolidated High School and Lamar Junior High School additions and renovations, the design development is in process. And then the multi-campus carpet replacement, construction documents are being developed. Construction documents are also being developed for the multi-campus improvements and the HVAC control updates, all of which are to be completed in summer of 2020. Brazos Crossing, the exterior improvement recommendation should come this spring, and design development is in process. Multi-purpose space and the orchestra, multi-purpose space for the high schools and middle school orchestra additions will begin in summer of 2020. Facilities assessment and long-range plan. The administration is still reviewing the collected data, and that's in process. And the final information should be presented to the board in March of 2020 after the demographic update next month. Dr. Randall High School and Harry Wright Junior High School construction is 30% complete, and the project is on schedule. And then the Trailer Stadium press box construction is started, and the project is scheduled to be completed in August of 2020.
Thank you. Any other committee reports?
The Finance Committee met today, and Whitley Penn gave us a update on the fiscal year 2019 audit results, and they'll be doing a presentation today.
Thank you. All right. The only thing I have, of course, it's been kind of quiet because we were on Christmas break, but last week I attended and helped sponsor the dinner for Lunches of Love, and even though that isn't driven by our district, the money and the support of everyone that showed up at Briscoe Manor that night were very generous, and of course we had our own Sheriff Troy Nels was our MC, and it's very gratifying to know so many people want to help take care of the kids in our district and a couple of schools in Fort Bend. And they still right now feed over 2,700 students every Friday, sending weekend packages home. And on holidays and in the summer, they're up to 4,100 students a day that they feed. So the generosity of the people there, and like I've always said, it takes a village, and they're one of those that we are so lucky to have in our community, and I just want to thank them again. All right. Dr. Randall, do you have a superintendent's report?
I do not, Madam President.
All right, so at this time, we're going to open our public hearing at 7:10.
Good evening, members of the public present, honored board members, and Dr. Randall. This evening we have come to review last year's Texas Academic Performance Report. Just as a summary, the Texas Academic Performance Report, or TAPER, was formerly known as the AEIS report. It is a comprehensive report that describes the performance of each school and district in the state of Texas. It provides extensive information on school and district staff, programs, and student demographics, as well as performance. In the student information section, the report provides information on student demographics, attendance, graduation and dropout rates, retention rates, class size, and program participation. Staff information on demographics, experience, average salaries, and turnover is provided, as well as star performance by grade, subject, and student group, and performance disaggregated by approaches, meets, and master's grade level. Star participation rates are included, as well as college, career, and military readiness, which includes a summary of SAT, ACT, and TSIA scores, dual credit and on-ramps participation, advanced placement participation and scores, military enlistment, and industry-based certifications. The report additionally contains a link to the first report that Ms. Ludwig discussed during December's public hearing. The report can be accessed in 4 different ways. One is directly from the TEA website. It can also be downloaded from the Research Assessment and Accountability Department's website, as well as it's available from each campus or the Research Assessment and Accountability Office. To give an overview of the report for 2019, just as a reminder, LCISD in 2018-19 received an overall rating of A, with domain ratings and student achievement of A, student progress A, and closing the gaps of B. Collectively, our campuses earned 16 A's, 16 B's, and 3 C's. This year we earned a combined total of 86 distinction designations at our campuses. That was up from 78 the previous year. Frost, Hubenack, and Williams earned all possible distinction designations, which puts them in an elite group of 5% of Texas schools. Fulsher, Austin, Campbell, and Arredondo earned 5 each. Foster, George Ranch, Taylor Ray, and McNeil earned 4 each. Some key performance indicators from the report include, first and foremost, STAR scores. And the STAR scores are disaggregated by performance level. Just as a reminder, master's performance level indicates students are going to be successful in the next grade level. They'll also be successful in their freshman year of college with little or no intervention. Meets indicates that there's about a 60% success rate once they leave our doors and go to college. And then approaches is the passing standard. It indicates that support is required to be successful at the next grade level. What's not reported is the did not meet grade level, which is usually calculated as the inverse of the approaches. And those are students that do not pass. When we compare ourselves to the state and the region, in each subject area, we range between 4 and 9 percentage points above the averages for the state and the region at the approaches grade level. We average between 8 and 12% above the average for region and state at meets grade level, and 7 to 10 points above for master's grade level. Our graduation rates for the 4-year graduation rate is 4 points higher on average than the state and region, and our 5-year rate is 5 points higher for both the state and the region on average. Our dropout rate is 1/3 of that for the state and region. We have a dropout rate of 0.7% compared to over 2% for the region and slightly under 2% for the state. College and career and military readiness, as I discussed with you all in August, is a new feature of the accountability system. This is the second year that we've had this included. When we look at our overall setting with that, we are currently 4 points ahead of state and regional averages. When we disaggregate the indicators, we are almost at 99% of our students take the SAT or the ACT. One of the reasons for this is we do provide the school day SAT in our district. We're ahead right now of the state and region for college readiness based on SAT, ACT, or TSIA tests. We are working on increasing the amount of students with dual credit through our MOU with Lone Star College and TSTC here in Rosenberg. And we are on par with the state and region as far as students meeting 3 or higher on the AP test, even though we've expanded the amount of students taking that greatly over the last 3 years. When we look at other indicators, On-Ramps, which is a program from the University of Texas that's a modified dual credit program, is fairly new. We're pretty much on par with the state in general as far as implementing that program at this point. We're starting to climb ahead of the state in approved industry certifications. We're comparable to the state in the sequence of courses that students would need to take to get those certifications. And military enlistment, we're also comparable there, although that is switching from the intent to enlist to actually having enlistment data this next year. When we look at the student demographics of the district, since 2014-2015, we have grown by roughly 15%. We remain a very diverse district, and in the last 5 years, we have added nearly 22% more graduates than we had in 14-15. When we look at enrollment by student program, we have gained students that are economically disadvantaged, and particularly in the years following Harvey. We have gained numerically students that are in bilingual or ESL education, even though it remains relatively stable in percentage. Special education, as you've heard from Ms. Mathis, continues to grow, and this doesn't really reflect the growth that we expect to see on this next report coming a year from now. CTE has grown by nearly 5%, and gifted and talented education has remained relatively stable. One of the things we're required by law to do is to publish an annual report of violent criminal incidents at campuses. A detailed copy of this will be published on the LCISD website. You receive updates on this every month from the school resource officers. To measure this, we have a matrix where we look at incidents per 1,000 students. We have seen an increase in the last year, in those from 4.6 to 8.3 incidents. But we have to take that with a couple of grains of salt. First of all, 2017-18 was a shortened time span because of Harvey. We lost 11 days. And then when we look at 18-19, on research, approximately 1 out of 4 disciplinary incidents was related back to vaping. It is reflective of the greater issues that are going on in our nation with vaping epidemic. If we were to take those out of the equation, we would be much more comparable to where we were in 2016, 2017. Our post-secondary performance data. How do our students look when they leave our doors? When we look at the percentage of students that are enrolled in higher education after they leave Lamar CISD, over 60% of our students go to a college or a trade school or a university here in Texas. An additional 8 to 9% go to schools outside the state of Texas. Comparable to Region 4 in the state, we are ahead by at least 7 points in both those areas, or in that one area. When we look at students needing developmental coursework, this is related back to the STAR test. Since our students are scoring at higher levels at meets and masters, we have more students that get through their freshman year without needing the developmental coursework or some kind of remediation during their freshman year of college. When we look at the class of 18 and we see where their top college choices have been, most of our students are enrolled here at Wharton County, followed by HCC, University of Houston, Texas A&M College Station, Texas State Technical College, Fort Bend. This is the first time that has shown up in this report because of the new campus we have. Texas State University, UT Austin, Blinn and Bryan and Brenham, and Sam Houston State. And at this time, we'll answer any questions or comments.
So if there's any from the board or the public, you have a question or comment?
Is this report on, it's on our website, or it will be on our website?
You said it's on your web.
It is on the TEA webpage. It's also on the Research and Accountability under legal postings.
Okay, thank you.
On the web.
Okay, we appreciate your time this evening. Members of the public can contact our office in Research Assessment and Accountability.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Ryan.
much.
Thank you.
So we will close the public hearing at 7:23. And we will move on to creating a consent agenda. Just tell me what, if anyone needs something pulled. A1, A2, B1. We're going to pull B2 because we have a report. B3, B4, B5, B6, B7, B8, B9, and we will come back and read those. B10, B11, B12, B13. All right, so we have a consent agenda of A1 and 2, B1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Okay. We have a motion. Do I have a second? You'll second. All in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the consent agenda stands approved. Before we go to the presentation, can we skip over to the resolutions, and would you like to start with Black History Month?
Whereas Black History Month is celebrated throughout the United States during the month of February, and whereas Black History Month recognizes the rich heritage and significant contributions to our lives by African Americans, and whereas schools are in a unique position to share an appreciation of the heritage and accomplishments of African Americans among children from all races and backgrounds, and whereas Lamar CISD schools commemorate Black History Month with special activities and observances. Therefore, be it resolved that the trustees of the Lamar Consolidated Independent School District declare February 2020 as Black History Month in the Lamar Consolidated Independent School District and encourage members of our community to share in the celebration of American heritage.
Thank you. Mr. Hunt, would you like to do the career and technical education?
Sure. Whereas the Association for Career and Technical Education has designated February 2020 as Career and Technical Education Month, and whereas profound economic and technological changes in our society are reflected in the structure and nature of work, placing new and additional responsibilities on our educational system, and whereas career and technical education provides a career connection as the backbone of a strong, well-educated workforce, which fosters productivity in business and industry and contributes to America's leadership in the international marketplace. And whereas career and technical education gives high school students experience in practical, meaningful applications of skills such as reading, writing, science, and mathematics, improving the quality of their education, motivating students, and giving all students leadership opportunities. And whereas the ever-increasing cooperative efforts of career and technical educators, business, and industry stimulate the growth and vitality of our local economy and that of the entire nation by preparing graduates for careers that are expected to experience the largest and fastest growth in the next decade. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Lamar Consolidated Independent School District declare February 2020 as Career and Technical Education Month and urge all citizens to become familiar with the services and benefits offered by career and technical education programs and to support these programs to enhance work skills and productivity.
Thank you. And counselors, please.
Whereas school counselors help students in public schools reach their full potential, and whereas school counselors are committed to helping students explore their abilities, strengths, interests, and talents as these traits relate to career awareness and development, and whereas school counselors help parents focus on ways to further the education, personal, and social growth of their children, and whereas school counselors work with teachers and other educators to help students explore their potential and set realistic goals for themselves, and whereas school counselors identify and utilize community resources that enhance and supplement comprehensive school counseling programs and help students become productive members of society. Therefore, be it resolved that the trustees of the Lamar Consolidated Independent School District recognize the importance of school counseling programs, which are an integral part of the educational process that enables all students to achieve success in school, and declare the week of February 3rd through 7th, 2020 as School Counselor Week in the Lamar Consolidated Independent School District.
Thank you. All right, now we'll go back to Goal B2. Do we need to make a motion or just have the reports first?
We do have a report for you all, and so we'll have the report and then.
We can make it. Okay. All right. Our annual financial report.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Randall. It's my pleasure to be here this evening to present to you the results of the district's fiscal year 2019 financial statement audit and federal single audit. Other members of the engagement team, in addition to myself, Dan Hernandez was the senior manager, Tom Peterson was the concurring partner. On site, working through field work, Raul Balbueno was the senior associate. We had Dustin Hicks and Diana Gonzalez as the two associates. The audit process takes several months to complete. We started this process last summer. We were on site performing preliminary audit procedures and risk assessment procedures, performing tests of internal control and compliance. Once the fiscal year was completed, we returned for 2 weeks in the month of December. At that point in time, we're performing audit procedures on year-end balances, confirming information with third parties, and obtaining supporting documentation to corroborate the data that was in the district's general ledger. We do all this in an effort to obtain enough audit evidence to issue an opinion as to whether these financial statements can be fairly relied upon. So as external auditors, we can give 3 different types of audit opinions on the financial statements. And so I'm happy to report that we've issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. And so that's otherwise known as a clean opinion on the financial statements. So you can find that report, our report, on pages 1, 2, and 3 of the comprehensive annual financial report. Users of the financial statements, the public, yourselves, management, especially external users, bond rating agencies, financial advisors. It's important that we issue an unmodified opinion. That way, when they perform their analysis on this report, they can rely on the information as being materially correct and complete. We do issue a second report on the district's internal control over financial reporting and on compliance as material to the financial statements. We didn't report any deficiencies or significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, nor any non-compliance, so this report was also a clean report. In addition to our audit of the financial statements, because the district does receive federal grants, it does require a compliance audit, so we do perform a federal single audit. For fiscal year 2019, the 2 major programs included the Child Nutrition Cluster and the Child and Adult Food Care Program. Overall, the schedule of expenditures of federal awards for fiscal year 2019 totaled $23.4 million. Our third and final report on the district's compliance with the requirements that are applicable to these major programs was an unmodified opinion, so a positive, clean opinion there. No question cost, no non-compliance of any sort were reported, no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. This is important because within 30 days, a submission will be made to a federal audit clearinghouse. And so this is how the Department of Education, the U.S. Department of Education, and the Texas Education Agency will know how the district did in its audit of the financial statements, and they're most interested in their grants in the federal single audit. Looking at some financial statement highlights, the statement of net position is the district's balance sheet. Total assets were just under $1.2 billion. A majority of that balance is going to be the district's capital assets, land, buildings, equipment, and vehicles netted depreciation. Your current and other assets are going to be cash, investments, and receivables. You have your total liabilities of just under $1.4 billion. The majority of that balance is going to be the district's long-term debt, your bonds and premiums. You do have a net pension and net OPEB liability. This is year 5 of reporting the pension liability and year number 2 of reporting the OPEB liability, so they're relatively new to this financial statement. There were increases from the prior year in both of these liabilities. These liabilities are outside of the control of the district. These are managed by the Teacher Retirement System of Texas, a state agency. They have their own actuaries and auditors that provide the district with the information it needs to report its financial statements. The reasons for the increases in those liabilities, there were some actuarial assumption changes made at the state level. The discount rate and long-term rate of return were decreased, which has an inverse relationship with the liability. So when those rates go down, that pushes the liability up. The difference between your assets and your liabilities is referred to as net position. So as of August 31st, 2019, net position was a deficit of $159.4 million. Now, typically you don't like to have numbers in parentheses on your financial statements, but this is due because of the reporting of that pension and OPEB liability, which local governments across the country have to report. So having this as a negative number on your financial statements is not uncommon. Your fund financial statements, which is similar to the information you're used to seeing throughout the year. General fund added to fund balance during fiscal year 2019. Ending fund balance was $74.5 million. The debt service fund is the fund that pays your principal and interest on the debt and also records the property tax, the portion of property tax revenue for the service of that debt. Ending fund balance there was $14.7. Your capital projects fund was very active for fiscal year 2019, a lot of construction activity during the year. Ending fund balance in this fund was $302.6 million. Your non-major governmental funds are your federal, state, and local special revenue funds, your grant funds. Ending fund balance was $5.8 million in those funds combined. If we look at the general fund's performance compared to budget, there was a favorable variance for both revenues and expenditures. Revenues were over budget, expenditures were under budget. So ending fund balance in the general fund was a positive $18.2 million compared to your final budget. Unassigned fund balance gets a lot of attention in financial statements. So on August 31st, 2019, the district reported $64.1 million in unassigned fund balance. This is the portion of fund balance that's available for spending. There are other categories of fund balance that are reported that are committed and assigned by the board and by management. So those are earmarked for specific purposes. If we put that $64.1 million in terms of operating expenditures, that translates to about 79 days of general fund operating expenditures. So that falls within a good, healthy range for unassigned fund balance. GFOA, which the Government Finance Officers Association recommends 60 to 90 days. So that's well within that range. TEA has indicators that look at this as well in the first rating. So 79 days is a good spot for the district to be in from a fund balance perspective. We've reviewed the district's accounting policies, and they are in line with industry standards. It's important for you to note that the financial statements do include estimates. Estimates are subject to change in the future. The biggest estimate by far is anything related to the pension and the retiree health care liability. But state revenue, state aid, because of all the variables that go into calculating state revenue, that's considered an estimate. Your allowance for uncollectible receivables is based on historical collection. And then the useful lives of your capital assets is based on estimates that have an impact on depreciation expense. So we've reviewed the basis for those estimates, and they are being reported appropriately. No difficulties to report to you from our perspective in performing and completing the audit. So I do want to thank the district management and staff for their cooperation through the audit all these months. No misstatements that we identified through the performance of our audit procedures that we had to bring to management's attention. No disagreements to report to you when it came to the application of any accounting principles or any accounting estimates. The last form of audit evidence we obtain is a management representation letter. This basically states to us that management's been a full and open book with us. They haven't withheld any information that would impact these financial statements from recording a transaction or disclosing any information. As far as we're aware, the district isn't consulting with any other accountants or auditors on any matter. And then the last bullet here on this slide, during the year we may provide the district with guidance or we may answer questions, but at no time do we feel we have to answer any question or take a position on any matter in a certain way in order to continue to serve as the district's external auditors. So that completes my presentation on the results of the audits and financial statement highlights and the required communications I have to make to you. If y'all have any questions on the financial statements or the reports that I just presented, I'd be happy to take those at this time.
Some questions? Good?
I heard this presentation twice. Very good.
Okay.
You were lucky.
So at this time, let's. Do I hear a motion to consider approval of Lamar CISD Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for 2018-2019?
I'll make the motion.
Make the motion. Do I have a second? Oh, I'm sorry.
Whatever.
Yeah, okay. Ms. Williams. So, thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions or comments, we can take the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Motion.
Madam President, we want to thank the Finance Department for all of their hard work. When they started back this summer, they haven't breathed since. So they are now have an opportunity to breathe a little bit because they've completed their audit. So let's congratulate all of them for their hard work.
Please exhale, if you may. All right. Do we have any information items that anybody in the board would like to discuss or have questions about at this time? So if not, we will be going to adjourn at 7:39 to closed session. We're going to go to closed session at 7:39. 551.084.
Oh, I'm sorry. We did forget the DIP report.
Okay.
Glad you mentioned
sorry.
it.
Yes, you told me the other night.
I did, and I'm sorry.
All right. Scratch that. We're not going to close session. We need the DIP report, absolutely.
And it will be brief.
Good evening. We are excited to present.
See, I asked about information items. Nobody's jumped up.
Yes, ma'am. So we do have a quarterly DIP update, and so we will be expeditious. But again, the district improvement plan is part of our overall strategy. We have a strategic plan that the board approved last year. The board also approves the superintendent SMART goals and the district improvement plan to align all of these things to make sure that we're all traveling down the same road, so to speak. So we do have 5 strategic priorities based upon our strategic plan, and those are to evolve the student learning experience, to equip our students with the knowledge and skills to succeed in a changing world, to promote a safe and healthy environment, to plan for rapid growth while preserving our district culture, and to focus on talent. Again, this is a quick overview, but we do have our full district improvement plan posted online, and this is what the board approved in October. So first up is strategic priority 1, evolve the student learning experience, and Dr. Terry Mossage.
Okay, to begin, Objective 1.1 was to ensure access to an engaging, rigorous, real-world learning opportunities and up-to-date technology. We were focusing on elevating or cultivating the expertise in teaching and learning. So to begin with, I'm going to identify some of the professional development activities that we have conducted since fall semester here in Lamar, with close observation and analysis, evidence-based writing, higher order questioning, academic conversations, sheltered instruction, technology integration in the classroom, and learning environment support, specifically in the area of classroom management. And you can see in the bubbles right there all of the different content areas that are involved in this professional development. Next, our focus was equipping all parents and guardians with tools to support student learning and growth. Our focus was the Canvas system. We wanted to ensure that 90% of our campuses met their goals by June of 2020, and we wanted to see a 5% increase by June 2020 with parents and students accessing that. When we look at this, we created Canvas usage goals for every staff members throughout the district. All of that was completed by October 1st. We began to offer trainings, webinars to our campuses on September 5th. And then our Title I campus contacts were also trained on October 25th so that they could share with their different parents. When we begin to look, we have lots to celebrate, we believe. We have seen, when you look at semester 1 from last year, semester 1 to this year, we see a 38% increase in teacher access. We see for students a 13% increase. And then for parents and guardians, we see a 108% increase when we compare last semester of last year to this year. So we celebrate that. When we begin to look at available resources to provide learning that is personalized to each student's interests and abilities in order to eliminate gaps in achievement, our 2 focuses there were highly effective professional learning communities as well as RTI practices. When we begin to look at that, we have campuses across the district with PLC specified time for teachers to collaborate about instructional processes and classroom practices. Next, our district instructional leadership team is providing teachers the opportunity to share with other campuses on successful instructional strategies. We have individualized PLC training that is happening throughout the district, and as we are going through these processes, we continue to see different levels of implementation, and so continued support and training continues to be a priority for us as we move forward. When we look at our response to intervention, this is what we have currently in our Success Ed program right now at the Tier 2 level for kids through the RTI practice. We currently have 785 kids throughout the district that are receiving additional assistance. When you look at 227 kids in a Tier 3. Now, this is not remediation as far as reteaching. This is when you've tried all of that and you're still seeing deficiencies, and then you're looking at Tier 2 and then a Tier 3. So a total of 1,012. When we begin to look at strategic priority 2, equipping students with the knowledge and skills to succeed in a changing world, our focus here is ensuring our graduates have effective and critical thinking, problem solving, and communication skills in order to be successful in professional and personal relationships. We do believe that cultivating expertise in teaching and learning is going to result in that and assist us with that. We began implementing instructional rounds at every principal meeting in elementary at the secondary level. You can see that each campus created a problem of practice. I'll break that down just a little bit. And so, for example, for today in secondary, campuses would develop kind of a problem of practice of things that they want to see improvement upon, such as questioning. And then the campuses, the principals go into classrooms, and we're just gathering information. District staff is with us. We're gathering information on student questioning. And we come back together as a learning community, and we look at what we've seen, and then we begin to look at what are some of the next actions we can do at a campus level for professional development as well as a district level for professional development. The next piece of that is focused on preparing our students to achieve their preferred career aspirations, and the focus in this is in our CTE area as well as in our college preparatory classes. We have begun instructional walks. You can see the dates that are identified right there. Emerging themes, they're going through CTE classes, our directors, and our executive director of student programs. We're seeing some themes in our CTE classes and our AP classes in regard to levels of student discourse, questions at a lower level of Bloom's 2, and then evidence-based writing is a little limited, so we're using that information to plan our PD for the second semester. When you begin to look at our CCMR, which is our guide to see if we're having some success with that, we are seeing a trend data up. When we look at 2017, 2018, and the fall of 2019, we do see a drop in one of our campuses, and we are working with that campus to troubleshoot that at this time. When we look at the next of increasing students' family and community member awareness of and access to all available academic programs, we're looking primarily at Zello and Naviance. And so our goal was to see a 5% increase by June of 2020. What we did for this in the action items is we provided resources for parents through emails, social media. We did this during our college and career military nights. We have programs that are scheduled for the spring of 2020. We had tasks assigned at the 6th through 8th grade level. We informed parents of the tasks. And as a result of this, we believe we're also trending in a positive direction. As you look at the total logins in Zello and Naviance and where they were, and then you look at right now where we are at first semester, we are well on our way to almost reaching the goal pretty quickly of what we did all of last year. And that is also something we're celebrating at this time. When you look at strategic priority 3, promoting a safe and healthy environment, increasing mental and emotional health supports and resources to improve social and emotional well-being among students and staff. Our focus in this goal was character counts implementation. We're happy to report that all of our campuses have done the beginning of the year survey. We also have 100% of our campuses that have implemented the monthly guidance lessons, and they are planning to do the same thing at second semester. And we also have had 4 training days where 99% of our administrative staff have been trained on character counts, and solution-focused training continues. 100% of our campuses have been, our counselors and family support specialists have been trained on solution-focused techniques, and then 75% of our counselors and family support are well on their way to achieving that certification by June of 2020. When we look at ensuring that disciplinary interventions consistently address the root causes of behavioral issues and staff understand how to implement disciplinary practices in a clear and equitable way for the well-being of students, our goal was a 5% decrease in off-campus suspension and in-school suspension. When we look at this, we also feel that we have room to celebrate. At this point in 1920, for the whole year at a high school, we were at 1,388. We're now now at 549, which are all-day OSS, 260 versus 732, 129 versus 74, so trending in a positive direction. And then finally, in my part, ISS, these are in-school suspensions, and currently right now we are at 964 with high school. We're seeing a little bump in that, but we believe that is the reason for that is because we did add 2 in-school suspension places. George Ranch High School did not have that last year, and neither did Terry High School. So with those additions, the numbers have gone up. And then you can see the lower numbers with junior high as well as at the elementary school. And I will turn it over to Mr. Rockwood.
Okay, sticking with promoting a safe and healthy environment, one of the areas was to ensure facility safety, and specifically the SMART goal was around our campus drills and achieving 100% compliance. We are happy to report that for the previous semester, all of our campuses had 100% compliance on all of their required safety drills. As a reminder, every campus has to complete by law an evacuation drill each month, but then they complete at least one of the other SRP drills each semester. Moving on to strategic priority 4 and planning for rapid growth while preserving our district culture. Objective 4.1 is around maintaining our neighborhood school structure and a unified community feeling during rapid growth and expansion. Specifically, we're looking at our LCISD zoning process, our master plan principles around the Tamaron zoning process. We have already had 2 Tamaron attendance boundary committee meetings that have gone quite successful. The committee has already made its initial recommendation for public input. The public input hearing is scheduled for January 30th at Lindsay Elementary in the library. Parents of the impacted campuses, which include Lindsay, Roberts, Lehman, and Fulsher, have already received an email about this recommendation, so they can look at it and come out and give any feedback. And then elementary students will receive in their take-home folders beginning next week a physical flyer as well for their parents. So again, January 30th is the next public input meeting, and all of this information is posted online on the zoning page. Objective 4.2, actively seek to engage and involve all stakeholders as the community grows. One of the things that we have, obviously we have social media, but we've always had a district internal e-newsletter that the board also has access to for staff, and then parents get a lot of campus-based newsletters and communication from the district. But in terms of anyone in the community wanting to get access to Lamar CISD, the Community Relations Department created a new newsletter for the community labeled The Link, which is your link to all things in Lamar CISD. But there is a sign up or a link on the webpage to sign up for the link. So if anyone, grandparents, community members are interested in getting access to what's happening in Lamar CISD, they can just go to the website, and then they can also see some of the great things that are happening and some information as well. Objective 4.3, continue to build and maintain equitable campus buildings and shared district support facilities. As Mr. Hunt mentioned, we did have an update on our facilities assessment process in December, and we are planning to come back in March with that full report after the demographic report next month. So that work continues. Also, Objective 4.4, ensure the budget and staffing plans equitably meet the changing student and staff needs. We are currently using a TASB salary study, but I won't steal too much of Dr. Bowen's thunder as she talks about our 5th strategic priority, which is focus on talent.
Thank you, Mr. Rockwood. As Mr. Rockwood mentioned, one of our objectives is to prioritize competitive compensation and benefits. And with that, the superintendent's SMART goal is that we are going to focus on providing a competitive compensation packet that aligns within 5% of the neighboring districts. We are currently in the midst of a TASB salary study, and we're at the point where they've done all of their staff interviews. They're working on their data analysis. We have a conference call early February to have preliminary results, and a report will be shared with you at the February board workshop. Additionally, each year we meet with United Healthcare representatives and our benefits consultant to discuss our medical plan, our healthcare plan, where we look at cost-effective measures that we could be taking. We look at cost factors, what's driving our costs, and how can we better offer a better healthcare plan for our employees and still maintain a cost-effective plan. Objective 5.2 is to expand access to differentiated professional development and coaching. And one of those things that we're doing is we've built the hub, our leadership development hub, and on there we have information related to the leadership definition as well as the competencies. And more importantly, we've recently added activities and resources so that as we work with deepening the understanding of the definition and related competencies, our staff has resources to implement that at the campus and department level. Sorry, I'm a slide behind. Lastly, Objective 5.3, we're going to provide career pathways and advancement opportunities throughout the organization in order to attract and retain talented professionals. And we're doing this through two ways, our leadership pipeline and our applicant pools. And one of our goals was to increase the assistant principal applicant pool by 10% with internal candidates. And we're happy to say that the pool increased by 20%, and we were one person shy of meeting our 10% internal goal. We have 8 more interview sessions throughout the spring semester, spring and early summer, so our goal is to focus on internal candidates at that time. We also have new inductions there, trainings for our new administrators, both at the principal and assistant principal level. We have all of our new principals have been through 5 induction meetings, and all of our new assistant principals have been through 3. There are 5 more left throughout the year, so they will continue in their own development. Objective 5.4 is to increase awareness of the district, and our plan is to utilize a marketing video to let people know that we are a destination district, a place to live, work, and learn. Human Resources is working in collaboration with Community Relations, and we've started this. We've identified the staff that will participate in the video. We've begun those interviews, and we are on target for our late February or early March completion. Do you have any questions for us?
Any questions? I'm just saying, wow. A lot. You can, when you break it down so intricately, you see where all the successes are, and you see where your weaknesses are too, so you know where to go next. So that's excellent. Thank you for all your hard work.
Great
we
job.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we can go to closed session at 7:56 for section 551.084, 551.071, 551.072, 551.073 for the open. On 9:01, and we're back from closed session. Are there any motions to be made? Looking for their motions. There it is.
Oh, yes. Madam Chairwoman, I move that the Board of Trustees approve personnel as presented.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Joe? Okay. Either one. Okay. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion carries.
Madam Chairman, I move that the Board of Trustees extend the superintendent's contract for 1 additional year.
Is there a second to that motion? Mr. Hunt? Is there any discussion? Yes.
I'd like to say that since I've come on the board for 8 months, I've been out in the schools, and I've had little interaction with the chiefs. And I have to say that I've been very impressed with the amount of respect for you, Dr. Randall, around the district. I'm also very personally thankful for the amount of respect you show me as a poor schlub that just joined the board. You guys are the experts, and you guys have to answer to us, and it's not a system that I set up, but here I am. So I'm very thankful. You guys are always very respectful. And you answer my emails and my other things, so just wanted to say thanks.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that'd like to make a comment? We do thank you, Dr. Randall, and at this moment, can we vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No, so the motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you. Madam President, I want to thank the board for your vote of confidence, but I also want to, I need to make sure that I acknowledge the fact that it's an entire team that helps us to be successful in Lamar CISD, and a lot of them are still here this evening, and so I want to thank them as well for the support, because they make it all happen.
Happen every day, right? We're all here together. and it takes a village. Are there any future agenda items or information items we wish to put on the February agenda? Hearing none, the only thing I'm going to say, if you have time this weekend and next weekend, the Fine Arts Departments of Foster, Fulshirt, and Terry will be putting on productions, and a sneak peek of The Sound of Music this morning, and if you can get out, there is a little girl in there that's stealing the show. So she's 4.5 years old. But anyway, we have a lot of things coming up in the future with the rodeo art, and so we have a busy next 4 weeks before we meet again. At this time, it is 9:04, and I will adjourn the meeting.